Good evening, all. Good evening, all. Chris Upton in the house. Can't see you. Haven't got my glasses on. Frickin' hell, it's dark in here, innit? It's bloody dark. Honestly, next week, I promise I'll get my hair done. I'm looking like a split bloody mattress. It's not on, is it? It's just not on. Let me put my glasses on so we can see what's happening. This bloody age thing, it's bloody shite, you know. Oh, Karen Evans, first in house. Nice to hear from you, Karen. Okay, Karen. Um, Karen, do you fancy going live tonight? Have you put the children to bed? Or do you just want to sit there and take the piss? Michael McLaughlin, good evening to you. Graham Allison, good evening to you. Chris DeVoe, good evening to you. Frank Casey, good evening. Jeff Harraway, good evening. How are you? Lovely weather down in sunny Cornwall. We're all flooded out down here. Honestly, you should see it around here. It's unbelievable. The rivers are running. Oh, Tracy Dodds is in the house. Good evening, Tracy. Steve Pace is in the house. Good evening to you, Steve. Well, I've had some information tonight, and from one of our members, and now I've got to wipe it from my computer because I asked him if he wanted to go live, and he said not really, not at the moment. So I need to wipe that completely from my memory bank. I wish he'd not contacted me half an hour before the show because it's sitting just on the. I haven't been able to put it in that box and put a lid on it at the moment. And I did say, do you fancy going live tonight? He said not at the moment. Telling the world. Hey, that's what I have to do every frigging time I come on here, innit? Tell the world what's happened. Tesco's soda water. Things are hard at the moment. I like Schweppes, but the Schweppes goes a bit flat once you've opened it, doesn't it? These are lovely. So you're asking me what I'm drinking tonight? Well, I'm on that old Italian shite again. Yeah. So we still got the hose pipe ban, Graham. That's the whole freaking stupid thing about it. It's not been lifted. The rivers are running at 300 miles an hour. People are getting flooded out. You should see some of the stuff on the telly. I don't know, 60 mile up the road. It's unbelievable. River banks are collapsing. Just be careful out there if you're going hunting with your dogs because it can be quite dangerous. You can lose them down a river or anything. Anything can happen. You just don't know these days, do you? That's the problem. You look after those dogs. Steve Morton, good evening. Good evening to you. So, what should we talk about tonight? Shall we talk about Russell Brand? Everyone else seems to be talking about Russell Brand. Well, we could talk about trial by media, couldn't we? Someone makes an allegation against you on the internet and people jump on the bandwagon and start going, yeah, I knew it all along. But guess what? I thought it was innocent till proved guilty. I thought that if when I heard, was it a 16-year-old or 17-year-old girl, Sue? 16-year-old girl, I thought, freaking pedo. And Sue says, no, that's acceptable in today's society. It's not against the law.
I didn't say it was acceptable. I said it's not against the law.
Oh, right. She didn't. Hang on. I misquoted. I must apologize. Fake news. Fake freaking news. She didn't say. What did you not? Freaking honestly, tell you. Listen to her. She.
I didn't say it was acceptable. I said it's not against the law because she was 16. If she'd been 15, it would have been.
So let me ask. Let me ask the ladies and gentlemen in the group at the moment. You've got a 16-year-old girl, and you know that this rock star come celebrity who is renowned for being a womanizer. What would you do if you found out that he was going out with your 16-year-old daughter? You can't do nothing about it because it's not against the law. The police would say, go away. If that's what she wants to do, it's her choice. You can't tell the daughter what to do. But you tell me in the group, would you be happy? Just yes or no. We just use yes or no. We don't want essays or long-winded replies like I'd kill him, the bastard. I'd run him out of town. There you go. Sue you says no. I personally, Bob Geldof summed him up exactly what he is. No, exactly. So I'm telling you, in my opinion, it would be a serious no, and I'd be going pedo. There you go, Tracy. Thank goodness one of you girls stood up. But let's be honest. If you then go home and tell mummy and daddy, and mummy and daddy don't do nothing about it, and you go around and then he abuses you, do you think you've only got yourself to blame to a certain extent, or do you think no, she's just a vulnerable 16-year-old who got duped into? Really, it could be called grooming, couldn't it? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not happy and would not be welcome. Exactly. Would you have him around the table for dinner?
No,
Yeah, no, exactly.
I'd poison him.
Would you? Susan said she'd poison him. Oh my God. A woman scorned, eh? A woman scorned. Mum and Dad dropped her off, allegedly. Steve, did she? Bloody hell, it gets worse, doesn't it? Yeah, think about the money. Think about the money, honey. No, at the end of the day, who's using who? Who's using who? People who sleep with a bloke that openly says he's a sex maniac, he's a sex addict, not be maniac. Don't know what a maniac is. I'm a maniac. Oh, just watch the live feed where you said Sue should be your fluffer before you came on. What the friggin' hell's he on about? He's just sent me a message.
Who?
So,
Oh, right.
what the frigg's he on about? You should be my fluffer before I come on. What's he freaking on about, Steve? Just a message come through. Perhaps he doesn't know we're on here live. Oh, perhaps he does. Anyway, so that's the thing, isn't it? If that guy gets everything given to him and he thinks he's a god or thinks he's a rock star, and they line women up for him and they cover up for him and stuff like that, then it's a collaboration of tragedy of hey, how many blokes would not take advantage? I'm not saying 16-year-old. How many blokes would not may take advantage of fame and fortune if women were knocking on your door wanting you one by one? I see that Emily. I watched an interview with her, and she said, "Good evening, Aberdell French. We'll get on to dogs in a second. I'm just on a rant." She said that he's slept with 1,000 women in one night. And I thought, no, now that is fake news. Not even I could do that. 1,000 women in one night. No, he boasted he slept with over 1,000 women. I think you've taken it out of perspective of what he said. But hang on, he's grasped on himself. He told everyone what he was like. I wouldn't. Haley would knock the fuck out of him. Yeah, exactly, Karen. Exactly. But you would threaten, wouldn't you, that you go to the papers with it if it carries on? You not blackmail him, you tell him straight, wouldn't you? If you carry on with my 16-year-old daughter, I'm going to go public and make you the biggest shite out there. I tell you, he was drugged up back in the days and he don't know himself what he's done. Exactly, Steve. Exactly. And he confessed to that, doesn't he? He confessed he was a womanizer. He's changed his ways. He's into Buddhism and all that, and hey, or is it a sales scam for the internet? I personally find that he's quite an intelligent bloke with the words he uses, the way he talks, and yet I looked at some of the it's supposed to be emails that have been going around, and some of the spelling's wrong. Is he dyslexic? Well, you can be clever but dyslexic. But why would you talk big words like he does that I wouldn't even understand? Well, I'd have to look them up on a dictionary. That's how thick I am. And why would you why would you write stuff knowing that people could blackmail you because you were a film star or a... Hang on, he's on. Oh my, just watch the live feed where you said Sue should be your fluffer before she came on. Oh my God, something else now he's showing me. Honestly, does he not know we're live? Should we ring him? Should we ring him, everyone? Just tell me, should we ring him or what? He's now sent me Chris Upton live. That was last week, Soul. That was last week. Perhaps I did say something like that. Oh my God. You do anything in this world, it can get reported, can't it? So here we go. Let's surprise him, shall we? I don't think he knows what's going on. Can you hear that, everyone? Oh, all of a sudden he's gone shy. Yes, loud and clear. Look at that. He's not answering. He's gone shy on us, look. Anyway, we won't embarrass him. See, you don't want to go live. Totally understand. There you go. Need to clear a space under the deck, mate. What the hell does that mean? What is he on about? Honestly, I think he thinks that I can do 6 jobs at once.
Is he on the sherbets again?
I think he's on the sherbets, Sue says. Yeah, who thinks he's on the sherbets? He knows Wednesday is a live feed. Oh, he's in. Here we go. Good evening and welcome. Please do not swear. You're live on TV.
Excellent. I've got a complaint to make about Mr. Upton.
Fire away, darling. Fire away.
Can I join the automated complaints queue, please? Imagine, how long will it take? Am I number 1 or number 25?
23. You're all right. You're not too. It's not too many.
I love. It's like you sailed past it, and I got to it, and I was choked. I was splurted on my wine.
You definitely. We sussed it, everyone, before he even came on, didn't we? He's on the wine.
Yes. Well, if I could have makeup and Sue could be my fluffer, it's like what you do?
So, have you been speaking to that freaking American, Shay?
Not directly, no. Just
Have you been speaking to him on Corleone Talk?
I have. Listen.
And have you been talking about funky people?
No, he was talking about funky people.
What? Telling everybody that Spaniel
trainers were funky.
What the friggin' hell are you two on? What funky? What the friggin' funky gibbon? That's what I put. Funky railroad, Grand Railroad.
Listen.
Come on, help me.
You were very. It's just you and me in this conversation, isn't
it? Yeah, right, and the rest.
No, hang on, Chris.
Yeah.
It's just you and me and Sue in the background.
No, it's not. We're live.
Oh, we're live.
We're live on Corleone Chat Talk.
Why are we live on Corleone Chat?
YouTube.
I was minding my own business, and then you called me. I've had a lovely chat with Shay. Actually, I think we're going to be best buddies.
You're bonding.
I think we are bonding.
I can feel a trip coming on. I can feel a trip coming on out to the Wild West.
On Corleone Chat when I'm not on Corleone Chat.
No, you're on YouTube. You're on YouTube. You've been drinking.
Worldwide.
That's what I said. Don't swear. You're alive.
Oh, Jesus Christ. There we go. Anyway, we're all happy. It's all happy days.
So Michael McLaughlin says pointer men highbrow. What?
Listen, I'm going to come off this.
Why?
Go back and go onto Facebook because I can't see who's here and what people are saying.
Well,
it's disgusting.
No, but it's lovely.
It's like I'm wearing a blindfold. It's like you've got a ball gag in my mouth and I'm wearing a blindfold.
A ball gag? Oh, this is getting worse. This is getting worse.
It's like when it came down to train with you, Chris, but worse.
Listen. This is the question to everybody out there. Do you find this entertaining, listening to Mr. Soul? All right? Yes or no? It's really important. We've had the people on here live before. We've tried to get him live. He actually fell for this one, didn't he? Or does he really? Yes. Look, look, even Sue's going yes. She sent kisses as well. Stay with us, Soul, says Steve Pace.
So it's like a sort of sabotage interview.
Yeah,
it's like an ambush interview.
Yeah. So the first thing we were talking about, because you were obviously watching an older live feed.
I was loving the one where you said that Sue, if you had makeup, Sue could be your fluffer.
I remember it now, but it's in perspective of what the conversation was. When you said she's my fluffer, I'm thinking.
But you see, that's what made me message you tonight, because as I watched it back, only just like 10 seconds ago, I almost choked and splurted on my wine. Because there's not many people on a YouTube live feed will say my wife should be my fluffer in the context. Anyway. What
about people like Russell Brand?
I slightly gagged on my wine and snorted a bit down my nose, and I thought, well, I must say that was very entertaining, Chris, even though I didn't watch it live.
This actually sounds a little bit like a Russell Brand commentary.
No, I am unaffiliated with Mr. Brand.
No, it's just when you mentioned gagging, you know, just when you...
He may have the same taste as you, but you know, it's a different thing altogether.
Fluffer in the context of brand and gaming. Brand and gaming on his wine.
He's got some branding challenges coming up, hasn't he? Actually,
yeah.
So
I think
the brand is under challenge.
The thing is, it's a bit similar to myself, but I didn't monetize my YouTube. They actually haven't taken him off YouTube. They just demonetized him for the time being. So what do you honestly think then, Sol? Do you think guilty till proven, innocent till proved guilty?
Russell Brand, as a young comedian,
yeah,
right, which was all I ever saw him was on the telly, used to be a bragging filthy fuck about how many women he was shagging.
Jammy bastard.
Well, he was. That was part of his routine, was about how many women he was shagging and what a you know, Lothario he was in bed.
Yeah.
And I actually think Russell Brand is a complete conspiracy theorist cock who's only got half a brain but thinks he's got a whole brain. That's my attitude. That's my attitude about Russell Brand as a person.
Right.
But I do feel a little bit sorry for him, as I do for the DJs and the people on the telly generally, and rock stars generally, where in general, back in the day, getting some pussy was part of the appeal of the job you were doing. And, you know, it was the 70s, it was the 80s, and, you know, having lots of girls chasing you and having a different girl in every different town every night was kind of part of the appeal of being a rock star or a Radio 1 DJ.
Or even a roadie.
Or a roadie or whatever, or periphery on the side of it. That was part of the appeal.
Yeah.
And the girls, I think, all right, this is just me being direct. The girls, I think, generally knew what they were getting into, but they were after the status of having shagged a rock star or a Radio 1 DJ or Russell Brand or whoever. And it seems a little lame after the event for them to go, oh no, he just shagged me and never contact me again, or whatever.
Just bear with us, everybody, because we are talking about dogs, aren't we?
No, we're not. We're having a general bullshit. But then you have sabotaged me. I have no idea we're on a dog channel. I'm just in a personal conversation with you, Chris, apparently being broadcast to the world wide web. So I think, you know, there's a change of standards. Yeah, fair enough. Retrospective. Yes, difficult because slavery was legal and now isn't. You know, but like when you change the standards, looking 30 years back or 20 years back, whatever, where I think he may come unstuck is if he's found out to be having a significantly underage relationship, in which case people will not forgive him.
Well, she was 16, wasn't she?
Well, I don't know. I know nothing about it apart from the fact I think he's a bit of a cock anyway, and.
It's everyone.
Yeah, but I mean, how could these women go to bed with him? It's not as if he's like sex on legs, is it?
Not like me. Not like me, so you know what I mean?
I mean, you look at him and think.
She looks at me and thinks, yes, anytime, big boy.
I imagine Sue can look at you and think, I can't.
I can't.
I can understand how any woman would weaken in the face of such.
She sings to me every night. My eyes adore you. That's what she sings to me. Yeah.
I mean, Sol said he feels sorry for him, but I don't. I feel sorry for his pregnant wife. What a time for this to all come up.
See what I'm saying? But the reason I brought it up, Sol, and we were talking about it before, I haven't just brought it up just with you. You weren't watching that. You were watching an old live feed, so you thought I was on live, and it wasn't. It was an old one. So the reason I brought it up is because it's trial by media, by internet. Trial by internet, really, at the moment. If the police get involved and he gets charged with stuff, then that's one thing. You're supposed to innocent till proved guilty in this country, but obviously it happened to me, not with women, thank God, but with dog training, with that woman.
It happened with dogs. It's even worse, Chris. Surely.
Yeah, this is it, isn't it? That's why it's called a dog insight. See what happens if someone just takes that one little bit now and edits it and puts it up. Chris Upton's had sex with dogs.
Happened on a dog inside. Yeah.
Another
Chris
dog
Upton
inside.
dog in.
Yeah. So the reason I brought it up is the fact that it seems to be like trial by internet, if you know what I mean. And everyone's throwing their 10 pence in. And all I'm saying is, hang on, if you've got allegations against someone, then surely you go to the police with it. Or you say, look, I filed it 20 years ago. The police didn't want to do nothing with it. We now got 30 people saying he did this, he did that. But to go 30 years back, I think a lot of us would be a little bit concerned, wouldn't we?
I am no expert.
But you know what you were like in the RAF. You know what you were like in the RAF. You just flew with anyone.
You have no idea what I was like in the RAF, and I certainly wasn't shagging vast numbers of people. I was no rock star.
You had wings.
No, I didn't.
All right.
So it was just. I do feel there's a.
It was the pilots that got the girls, was it?
Of course.
Oh, here we go. Anyway, Top Gun.
The point is that I think that the ground rules have changed, and it's a bit rich to go back 20 years, 30 years when the ground rules have changed, unless, and I think that if there is significant evidence of, being a kiddie fiddler, I'm afraid, frankly, go back as far as you like.
Without fail.
If you're breaching that level of trust, doesn't matter whether you're a rock star or a DJ or whatever. I think you're out of order and should be done for it. But having consensual sex with groupies that come into the band room after the gig and throw themselves at you, and sometimes want to get 3 in the bed at once.
Oh, lovely.
I'm afraid you can't complain after the event. You as a woman, you did know what you were doing. I think it's a bit rich sometimes to go backwards and say, I was on the casting couch. You said if I give him a blowjob, I could get the role. So I gave him a blowjob, and he abused me. Well, I'm struggling a little bit with that one.
Yeah.
There are some kind of two sides to it.
So we have a question for you, Sol.
But can we get on to something else?
Well, that's what I was thinking. We have a question for you.
Yeah.
How the stop coming on with your pup? That was from somebody from, I don't know, Southampton,
Germany.
Southampton way. His name's Steve Pace. I don't know if you know him.
I've heard of Steve.
Right.
He's quite good. I've heard he's quite good.
Is he?
Yeah, I've heard he is. He's got a bit of a reputation down the south of England.
I've heard that you're his wingman.
More his fluffer.
His fluffer.
Actually.
His fluffer.
Yeah. No, he's a little bugger.
Who? Steve? Steve? He's not. He's a big bugger.
No, Steve's lovely.
Steve's lovely.
The dog's a bugger.
All right, the dog's a bugger. Bugger me. That's RAF for you, isn't it?
It's a mixed sort of feeling. You. All right, so I've deliberately let the dog go a bit. I won't say wild. Well, yeah, quite wild.
Why so? Why did you let him go wild?
Because
this is what everybody wanted you on here for. They wanted your knowledge.
Why did I let him go wild? Because I thought I've had dogs go wild on me before, mostly inadvertently. All right. So this time I thought, like the third time I saw a dog go wild on me, I thought I might see it coming and see what level of wild he was at.
Yeah.
So seriously, the first black bitch I had, she went wild on me. I didn't know she'd gone wild on me until I brought it down to you after 4 years. Right. So she was long wild before I realised she was wild. So that was delayed observance of out of control. Who was next? Probably Otto was next. He was wild almost by nature, but because I overtrained Hester and obedience trained her and bored her to shit, I wanted him to be wilder than her, and so I overcorrected, if you like.
Mm.
I let him go wild too long.
Yeah.
And he was a high drive dog who was wild too long. So it was a real job to get him back. A real job to get him back. But did get him back
To a very nice standard.
to a nice standard.
Until
most days. So Otto, I would characterize Otto as and I'm very, very sad that you never saw him at his best.
Who? Otto?
Otto, yeah.
I saw him work beautiful for you.
You saw him work. You saw some lovely retrieving work and stuff like that, but you never actually saw him banging on the points and putting them up and stopping, and you never saw him at his absolute top. And when he was on, you have to take my word for this, because I'm not generally a liar or an over exaggerator. When he was at his best, he was absolutely electrifying.
Yeah.
And when he was, but then he had days when he was shite, and it was patchy, and it was just so random. So anyway, that was him. So I let him go wilder than Hester, who I overtrained in some departments and board, and I let him go wilder than I should have. So that was too far. Then I got a little soft spotty bitch, and I kept her. So you oscillate, don't you, between dogs, and you have to try and breed the dog. Right now I'm on my third one, and she was soft as shit, and I kept her on the retrieve game and away from game, and she worked really tight, like a spaniel, when she was hunting, instinctively, and she's very soft, and so she was the third, and I had to really trust that by not curtailing her, she would stretch out.
Right.
Because she was giving me nothing like the range that the pointer should give me.
Yeah.
She was giving me like slightly wide Springer range, you know.
But hadn't you been training her a bit more like a Springer?
Well, I've been working with Springer. No, not training more like a Springer. No. Instinctively, that was her range. Initially was tight.
Right.
So she was always going to be a slightly closer to me.
Was
dog.
she tight or was she sticky? This sounds dirty, but no, we know what we're talking about.
No, she was very happy to hunt around me. I mean, not around my feet like a.
But not sticky, not actually just clingy to you.
No. Just that was she would her range would be 20 meters one side and 20 meters the other side, which is more than you'd like 20 meters, 60 feet, more than you'd expect from a spaniel. But and then actually, because when I first started to get her onto scented ground was with Steve, and there was a lot of residual birds from the last year's shoot. So there's plenty of birds around for that first 6 or 8 months, and I was I was running with Steve and his spaniels. So there's a bit where you do actually let the dogs just have a bit. They're not working. They're just having a bit of downtime. But she'd run with the spaniels, and Steve would pip his spaniels in, and I would pip Eva in, and they'd kind of all come back. They had their range for when they're on their downtime. They weren't actively hunting. They weren't actively under control. They were allowed to sniff and hunt-ish, but around an area, not too far away. So she sort of learned that sort of when I'm, get on, you're just having fun now. That there was a limit to that, and so that was closer, I suppose. But I've never really seen her stretch out and cover distance.
Not like Otto, no.
No, nothing like Otto. Otto wouldn't stop till he hit the next hedge, would he? Really?
Next county.
Or the county, yeah.
Yeah.
So then I've got the fourth one, the Enzo. I was always hoped I got it in the same lines as Otto, generally as far as I could. Italian-y sort of lines rather than German lines. And
is that why he's called Enzo?
He's called Enzo because he's fucking fast.
Oh, I thought an Italian racing driver, wasn't they called Enzo?
Well, Enzo Ferrari is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's what I thought his name
He is fucking. He
he's
looks
quit.
like he looks like a whippet, and he's
Yeah.
fucking fast. So that's why it's Enzo.
But no brakes.
Well,
you hesitated. You hesitated.
Not as yet.
No, you hesitated then. Everyone was waiting
No,
on.
the funny thing with this one is, right? So you know, all the dogs are different, right? So
Yeah.
I've always had GSPs who well, I've had two that want to range away from me, one that was happy to be close-ish, and this one is so obsessed by the retrieve that I can't get him away from me in order to train the recall. Do you see what I mean? It's been bizarre. It's only like he's 10 months old now, and it's only just now he started to actually think about hunting. Until this point, when I walk out to a field, he's round my feet, he's looking at me. Every time I stop, he puts his arse on the ground, he looks up at me. Every time I put my hand in the bag, you just can't get him away from you. Now, this last 2-3 weeks, he started to actually move away from me and started to explore and hunt. At which point I can now start to enforce a recall, and I've started to enforce the stop with the long line and things like that. But it's not quite the same as enforcing it in the middle of nowhere. So it's all a bit random, but I have faith. I mean, today we had a really lovely. Well, they don't walk really; they hunt. So you don't really get a. I mean, people go. I mean, I think the wife had an idea that we'd have a Labrador and we just walk through the countryside with a lab plodding alongside us, having chats. I mean, it's never really worked out like that because GSPs, they're either on lead or they're hunting.
Yeah.
There's no sort of nimble mode. I mean, you can command them to walk off lead by your side, but as soon as you say get on, they don't stick around.
Let's just a second. That's brilliant. Just a second. Karen says, I had an old motorcycle tire out today with a long lead. The only problem is, Karen, it's all right for fat boys with a motorcycle tire because you don't have to carry it around. You can just slip it over yourself and it will just rest on your stomach. It ain't going to fall off. But with people like you and Sol, what you're going to do when you don't need the motorcycle tire, you're going to have to carry it. And so it's a bit of a nuisance unless you've got a blow up one, like one of them rings that you go swimming with, and that's not going to be heavy enough, is it? Unless you fill it with water. But we were talking about that, weren't we, the other day, about, you know, a dog that's running in, you want to slow it down to get hold of it. If you put a motorcycle tire on there and the dog runs in, you can get out to the dog and pull the dog back and say, hey, you can't beat me. So that was right. Karen actually said that about the motorcycle tire. Sorry, Sol, carry on, mate.
I think the motorcycle tire is a lovely idea if I had a motorcycle tire and if I could be asked to carry it around for my training sessions. So I'm.
Yeah, but you don't need to carry it. You don't need to
carry
it around, do you? You just go to somewhere with a motorcycle tire and throw them.
Yeah, but I can't go to National Trust field and dump a motorcycle tire there and then leave it there to come back next week.
No, you go into a field where you can drive, or you go somewhere you can actually drive. Get the motorcycle tire out, do the training near the car, and then put the tire back in the car. I didn't say you had to carry it.
No, I think I love.
So I got a suggestion here from somebody. I'm not going to say who it is. Tractor tire for Enzo.
I could guess.
So Karen says, only did it twice. Soon worked out I could catch the dog before the dog got to the retrieve. Exactly. It's not like you're going to be carrying it for the rest of your life going, I'm training with a frigging tractor tire. I mean, imagine Sol going out in the field with a tractor tire. He'd die, wouldn't he? He'd blow up. Game bag. Hell of a game bag for her.
It always got to be.
So someone suggested Enzo needs an anvil. Honestly, so
I think just a tow bar would be all right.
You might break his neck. You might break his neck with a tow bar. I wouldn't do it.
I'm not. I'm joking.
Yeah, but we have to explain that because some people might think
someone does it.
Yeah, and then we get done for liable. You know, dog had to. I put the dog on the tow bar.
It's a stupid idea. I wouldn't tie him off on a hard thing.
No, you've got to give some break in it. Yeah.
So I've got a few. We've had few hits the end, not the end, a few hits 3 meters. Right, so sit him up on the long line, chuck the dummy out. So now, almost always, if I say, right, there's a difference. I blow Pip, he'll sit. If I blow Pip, sit up, hold my hand up, and give him the firm voice, he knows he is not to move. Now, obviously, eventually,
You'll break it down. Yeah.
the Pip in its own
Yeah.
is going to be don't move anyway.
Yeah.
But reinforced with the pup, the Pip, hand up, sit up in a firm voice, and chuck it. 9 times out of 10, he doesn't break.
Right.
So that's something. Then I do it on the long line, and exactly that, and he doesn't break. And then I say, get out. He goes off like warp factor snot. And then I blow the stop at about 2 meters of line. And he's hit that probably 10 times now. Only 2 meters.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I try to blow the stop as he hits the end.
Yeah.
Or just before he hits the end. So he has the option to stop. And I've got a few times now where he'll stop. Now, he won't stop and sit. He'll stop, but he'll stop. So he's starting to work that one out. Hang on, even if I'm running after something that I really want, stop means stop. And I'm not enforcing stop and sit, a thing at a time sort of thing, So if you'll stop your run in, good. Before you hit the end of the line, that's good. And so there's so, I said this to you, didn't I, Chris, the other day? There's so many different elements of the stop. You said to me once with Otto, how long did it take for you to get the stop on the dog?
Yeah.
Was it easy to put the stop on?
Mm.
And I said, well, no, not really. Because every time I had him on a long line, every time I fired the dummy launcher, even though he got a stop on a thrown dummy, so he got, off lead, sit by my side, throw the dummy, he wouldn't go till sent. Well, the dummy launcher was a different level of excitement. I had him on the long line. I'd give him 2-3 meters of slack, and I must have fired that dummy launcher 20 times, and he would run at it uninhibitedly until he hit the end of the long line. His feet would come off the ground. He'd flop down on the ground. He was absolutely, there was no hesitation.
I would be, but I would be slightly careful there, because you're moving onto the dummy launcher before you've corrected it with just the temptation of a few dummies.
No, I'm saying he had it with dummies. I had him off lead.
Right.
Sat to my side,
Okay, I'm with you. Sorry,
dummies,
my fault.
Could stop him on the way to a dummy.
Yeah.
And the dummy launcher was so much more exciting for him.
So how has he paired the dummy launcher with being so exciting? It seems a bit strange that you should be able to blow the stop whistle, fire the dummy launcher, and he shouldn't move, right? Okay, we know that, don't we? But he's going on the movement of the bang. Yeah? So why don't you take it back one and do what I would do, is bang doesn't mean there's a retrieve. Bang means park your ass.
Yeah, possibly. But this was 6 years ago now, so...
Oh, right. I thought we were talking about your pup.
No, I'm talking about Otto.
Right.
So I'm saying, you said with Otto,
yeah.
How hard was it to put the stop on him? I said he hit the end of that line.
Yeah. I thought we were talking about your young pup.
Not this pup. No.
Yeah.
So 15, 20 times, and he just throws himself off the ground. And it's like, it took him so long to realise he can't get to it. I was, quite... It was... I wasn't doing it to him. He knew that sit meant sit, and he knew not to run in. But he just kept wanting to get to it.
Right.
So that was that. So this one, I'm on a shorter thing with thrown dummies, and he's only 10 months old, so this is fine.
Yeah.
And it's after 6 slams into the end of the line. So it's a bastard thing, really, because you say to the dog, sit up now. Sit up means sit up. Now you can go for it. And now I'm saying stop halfway on the run in, or 5 steps into the run in. Now I'm saying, so stop not only means stop, it means stop when you're going as well. not only when you're sat. And he's hit it about 5 or 6 times, and he will now stop sometimes, mostly.
Has he surrendered to you yet?
He has, but only because we've had a right old fight.
Hang on, this sounds terrible. You're on live feed and you've had a right old fight.
Well, he's lovely. He's lovely, but he's a very, very, very stubborn, cocky little dog, and I love that.
Yeah, but this is important.
But
this is important. Do you think, in hindsight, perhaps you shouldn't have given enough, so much fun element, as it's so important to get to that retrieve? You're going to love it, and that you've built that up, and now you're finding it hard to put that control into him. Because let's be honest, a lot of spaniels are softer these days, and if you don't allow that drive to come in there, then you're not going to get the dog to the best of its ability. And it's so easy to train a dog, say the Moxton way. We were talking about this the other day. One of them books that have been out there for donkey's years and been revamped and re-edited, redone. If you want an average trained gun dog, that method of training works, because it's more about obedience training to begin with, rather than freedom, drive, desire. If you think about pointers compared to Springer Spaniels or Cocker Spaniels, are they not more driven? So you wouldn't want to let them perhaps go to the same level that you might do with a Springer or a Cocker.
Well, I've never had Springers or Cockers, so I can't compare the two.
Well, let's just say
or I can only compare the pointers I've had before.
Yeah, but you've seen Springers, you've seen people work with them. Steve's got them, Cockers as well. Cockers tend to work tighter. That's what they're genetically, bred for. They will work tighter unless you let them take in too much ground, and then they will take in ground and they'll try and take over, like all dogs will. But the thing is, a Springer will open up more in general than a Cocker will, where a pointer, they're talking about it. It's a good chat on live feed. They're talking about it, saying that does a pointer produce birds closer, but you need more ground, or takes in longer ground, or a spaniel don't need that, and they're discussing it, and I think it's great that people are chatting about it. But I reckon that in my small amount with pointers, I think the majority of them I see are more headstrong, more unbiddable than Cockers and Springers, in my opinion.
Well, Michael says, I would wonder, are Springers a more intelligent breed to the pointer?
See that? Michael says, I would wonder. Hey, you're going to upset a few people here, but Michael's got a pointer, so he's not being funny. I would wonder, are Springers more intelligent bred to the pointer? This is the whole point, isn't it? If you think about it.
No, I just think they're a different beast. I put a post up only today. I think it's towards something Shay said, and they're all different. They're all different. They're all subtly different.
So we have a question here then. So
different types of dogs.
Should you have started?
Right, so those Springers, they're just the Land Rover of hunting dogs, aren't they?
No, I don't like Land Rovers. They break down on a regular basis.
All right, the Toyota Land Cruiser, if you prefer.
Yeah, Toyota Land Cruiser. Yeah. Now I'm with you. I'm on that one. They're the Toyota Land Cruiser. When you put Land Rover, I nearly wrote something.
All right, okay.
No,
so
I'm with you.
They can do pretty much everything.
They're all rounder, aren't they?
I saw Jackie's run wider and be more scent orientated, because she allowed them to do it, and she was in wider country. I've seen people working around their feet in a figure of 8, not using their nose. That disappoints me. Terrible.
And me.
Boring. And I've seen the middle ground, which I think is where most of the group is at. Allow the dog to use its ability, but keep it tightish within shooting distance, because that's where the shots are going to be taken. So I mean, and they're fearless in cover. They can do a retrieve to a point, to within a shooting distance anyway.
Yeah, but do you think?
I have acquired, and I know I do quibble about the type work, when you might as well just kick it up yourself.
Oh,
I quibble about that, but I have acquired a great respect for the spanners.
well done, Stevie Pace. Honestly, you've taught him something.
You might get
And
one,
I
won't
also
you?
have a huge respect for the Labradors
Well,
because
as you're getting older,
no, fuck off. I mean, I'm nowhere near that yet. But I don't mean the big spade-headed, boat-tailed variety that can barely walk. I mean a light-built, live working lab is a joy to behold when it's well trained. I mean, that can outdo pretty much anything on what it's built for, what it's designed for. So and they're beautiful, biddable, trainable dogs. So you can't knock a lab either. And then there's the
You should get one, then you won't be.
and then there's the GSBs, or the HPRs in general. They're
I have a wonderful question. I have a wonderful question here.
Really, they're just for the masochists.
I've got pointers. I've got a wonderful question here. Should you have started the stop at 8 months rather than 10 months in hindsight? Wonderful question. Wonderful question. In hindsight,
it is very difficult to know when to put the stop on.
Is it?
I think it is.
Right.
I was talking to Steve about it several months before I did.
Yeah. Because that was Steve who asked the question.
I'm feeling I've got enough. Maybe I could get a bit more.
Oh, there we go. There we go. You just pushed the boat out a little bit too far, so.
No.
And now you're getting your feet. Now you're getting your feet wet. He's getting his feet wet because he pushed the boat out a little bit too far.
You see, I don't think I have pushed the boat out too far. I think I've got what I can cope with. Right. So that's the thing. If you've never been anywhere near this before with any other dog of the similar type.
Just a second, Sorry to interrupt. I have a message here from Karen. I just find that Springers very biddable, much more than Cockers. I find Cockers are headstrong compared to all Springers. Cockers have ADHD. Laugh out loud. Karen, I couldn't agree more with you on that. And that's the whole. If you broke down that question to me, Karen, that is so true. In all those dogs I've seen over the years, if you get a good one, you're dead lucky and they're brilliant. But in general, I think that summed it up very well. Sorry, Sol, but I just thought that was good to mention. Because they're talking about like dogs' intelligence, and Karen says all dogs equally intelligent except pugs, Frenchies, and Chihuahuas.
Well, they're intelligent in their own way, aren't they? They're intelligent in what they're wired for.
Well, it's a bit like these pit bulls, isn't it? We got the banning thing, isn't it? The ban the breed, isn't it? At the end of the day, if you wind them up and teach them to fight and teach them to win a fight, don't you think you're going to exaggerate the genetics and tap into that a little bit more rather than hang on, let's have a nice friendly dog here. Let's not wind the dog up.
You could say a beagle off lead into the woods who takes his nose down and follows a scent trail and never comes home with his owner. Yeah. Is a stupid dog.
But it's not. It's genetics.
He's just been a fucking beagle.
Yeah.
If you want him to take a scent trail, put him on a long line and follow the scent trail with him. But you're asking for trouble if you really go. I'm saying they're intelligent for their own. And it's not that these breeds have been going for very long. They've only been since the Victorian era, wasn't it? 150 years or something with the breeds.
Yeah, not that long, is it? No.
Victorians.
No.
So, but even 150 years of breeding has made these dogs have a predisposition.
Yeah.
Not an absolute guarantee.
Yeah.
But a predisposition for a certain sort of behaviour. So,
I totally agree. Isn't it wonderful? We're into 49 minutes and 19 seconds on here. If Sol had come in and we talked about dogs and not Russell Brand, I find it very, very interesting, don't you? About genetics, about dogs, about the different breeds, the traits, when and how to train them. Now, let's be honest. I've never watched a pointer video yet and gone, I want to get a pointer. Has anybody else on here done that? Has anybody else watched it? Because I think when you actually watch a pointer naturally hold point, let you get there with a gun, let the dog go in for the flush, up gets the bird, the dog sits, kill the bird, then send the dog. How many videos have you actually seen that done? It's a sequence, isn't it? And the sequence breaks down so many times where you watch those videos. But when you actually see it done properly, it's majestic. And I can see what Sol likes and why he likes it. But do you think we're converting him slowly into a spaniel?
Not a chance.
What do you mean, not a chance? Is that because we're funky?
Yeah, there's several versions of definition of funky, isn't there?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah.
And one of them is stinky.
Yeah, stinky. Yeah, stinky. Yeah. Honestly,
your junk's a bit funky today, mate. You know.
You're dead right. Yeah, you're dead right there, Steve Morton. A setter on point is a joy to watch, and it is. And I, you know, me and Sol take the piss out of each other, but we seriously talk as well. We're friends. He's been a great friend. But I can tell you this: I've actually watched this dog in awe at some points and gone, "Whoa, that is majestic to watch." So when you do get it right, it's brilliant. But I don't think it's as simple, and you have to have certain facilities. And if you haven't got the facilities, where are you going to go next? But I think that as a learning curve, if Sol took another dog, now he's had as many as he's had of the same breed, do you think he would have put the stop on the dog a little bit sooner with the problems he's having now with the next dog? I know what he's saying. They're all different.
Am I having problems now? I'm having. I don't.
He's having fun. He's having fun. He's loving it.
No, I'm not being funny, but I don't think I'm having problems now. I've got the dog.
Brilliant. He's not having problems, everyone.
As wound up as I think I would dare get him.
Right. So now he's bringing him back into line.
Before I have to bring him back, and I have no worries at all. Steve Pace has said, by bringing him back, I'm going to knock him back. This dog is the.
He's singing now in the background. You could join.
In the background. Yeah,
you could join that bloody show. One man and his dog. No, not one.
He's the cockiest little fucker in the world.
I love him. I love him.
He is really, really cocky. He's bumping my leg, and I have to give him a slap off on that. You know, like he almost thinks he wants to fucking nudge into me, like he wants to nudge into the bitches. So we have to sort of correct him on that.
So he's owning you as well, then.
He's not owning me, no. But he'd like to give it a try. He's a cocky little adolescent, but also though, when you give it to him, he doesn't back down, and you have to give it to him again, and he doesn't back down. You give it to him harder, and he doesn't back down. You give it to the third time. Eventually, he'll settle, and then you give him the next retrieve, and he's just as fucking fast down, just as fucking fast back. So all he's doing is bumping against the limits, and he takes the limits. And he's not worried by the limits, and he's not worried by the discipline. And actually, he is interested to learn, because actually he's interested in look. This is a 10-month-old dog. We're doing left, rights, and backs on a stop. So I'll send him out on a blind. The blind's not there. I can sit him up, stop him, and then we're doing the left, rights, and backs on a 10-month-old dog. And I've only done that because I wouldn't put handling on a 10-month-old dog normally.
No, I wouldn't put chastisement on a.
I'm not because I've done it before and it didn't go well. But I'm only doing that because I couldn't get him away from me to hunt. So we've had to do silly amounts of retrieving games.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't get him away from me in any other way.
Right.
Right. So now today we put up 4 pheasants in the field. Admittedly, he bumped them all and he chased them all. I didn't say a dicky bird. I let him chase them. I didn't try and blow the stop on him because it was never going to work. But fucking hell, you should have seen the speed and the action when he came back in to hunt the seat. I mean, he's going to be a good. Everyone loves their dogs.
But don't you think you reach a point you've got to put the stop on that and not let that go any higher?
No.
Bloody hell.
No, he'd be fine. I can bring him in. I brought Otto in. I can bring him in. It's fine. But you don't have any. You have no feel for any of it. This is the awful thing, I think, is you have no feel for any of it until you've had a few, which generally means you have to fuck up with a few.
Well, remember that saying what I said to you years and years ago?
If I fuck up 5, I'm done.
Yeah. your first 3, you got excuses for it. But I was trying to save you from doing that, Sol.
Well,
I know, but
Christopher said he wouldn't.
Do you know what though? I had the same field, and I had Eva out, and she found 4 and flushed 4 and was steady on 4, and one of them was a multi-flush, like 2 got up, another one got up, and she was still on point in a bush the size of a like a bowling ball. It was no bigger than that, and she was still on point at a little stump of bush. Oh, it's not fucking. There's no bird in there either, and there fucking was. There was another one in there as well, and then when the last one got up, then she sat.
But your dog was doing that when we went on that shooting day, wasn't it? He was actually winding birds on the hedge and knowing there was birds on the hedge. It was great to see. On the way back, when we were walking back, your dog was finding birds on. Yeah.
What I'm saying is that Eva, like my intermediate dog, my mid-pace dog, and she is compared. She's lovely. And she's pretty good, and she's pretty precise, and she's had a season, and she's going to her next season. So we're working season. So she'll get better and better. But she's already pretty lovely, and I think you'd like her.
Lovely.
I think you'd see that she was you could vary the range with her. She could be tight. She could be
lovely. That's what you want, isn't it? Yeah, mix it up.
And she can work a hedge and come back on a hedge, and she can work with spaniels and not with spaniels, and she, all that, whatever. She can do the whole. I think she's going to turn out to be a mid-paced all-rounder. But she sort of gave me confidence that it is possible to do it. But I only got her because she was the calmer down for Otto. Yeah.
And now you're missing that. You want that extra.
I'm now missing the Otto.
Yeah.
The Ferrari element.
Yeah.
And I've got exactly that back with this little fucker.
It's like me. I've always wanted a Latino woman, but I don't know if I could cope with her at my age. I think I could show you. Well, anyway. A Latino woman. Go on then.
No, he's not trained, but I think I could show you Eva, and you go, okay, actually, she's a passable working dog, So, and I think you'll see him, and you go, oh yeah, I can see the Otto in that. Yeah, wouldn't
it be wonderful, everybody? I'm talking to the group here now. Wouldn't it be wonderful if Sol and Steve were taking videos of this and creating that history for us to watch that development? Because the camera doesn't lie, does it? I did see that Larry said this week, and I actually made a comment, I don't like these trainers who edit the videos. Well, actually, we have to edit the videos because you don't want to see Sol chasing the dog for 4 miles, do you? Because it would be switch off time, wouldn't it? Like, it would be funny to begin with, but it would be then switch off time. So the dog runs in and Sol goes after him. We are telling the story, so we'll edit that bit and Sol coming back red faced like bastard dog, or brilliant, did you see that? Fantastic, I just love the drive. And we'll tell a story. So when we put up videos, sometimes we put up short videos and just show exactly how to correct the dog, or when to move in and timing and how important it is. But I don't agree with Larry on this, where he says that people who edit videos are not showing the true story. You can't, because when you go out training, a lot of it can be like long-winded, can't it? It can be not irrelevant with what you're trying to show on the video. And you would be forever putting up hours and hours of video with people sitting there and thinking, what is this about? So you're, as an editor of videos, that you're telling a story how to get a dog to do this and how to get a dog to do that. I've got to say that we have to edit the videos to a certain extent to keep people on the edge of the seat. They want to see it. They want to find out how to get it right. What did Sol do when the dog didn't come back? You know, how did he correct it? What did he do? Wouldn't it be wonderful? Edge of your seat stuff it would be, wouldn't it? Someone says here. Sol lives on the edge, someone says.
I don't think I live on the edge at all. I just have a great affection.
Like Steve Pace just said, training can be 90% boring. It can, can't it? It's monotonous.
Yeah,
it's repetition. If you show it, Karen says, even Larry has edited videos. I think he means cutting out certain things.
Glossing them up's no help.
Yeah, no, glossing them up. Just or showing just fully trained dogs is nice, but what do you learn from it? Ours is a learning group, and this is, I think this evening, the conversation started off a bit weird, didn't it? But then it's now gone into, I think, one of the best evenings we had. I don't know if people agree here, because you've got two people, one with a very posh background and one with a very rough background, actually communicating.
How come I'm posh, Chris?
You're posh.
How come I'm posh?
Posh with a name like Sol?
You live in Surrey.
And you live in Surrey with a fringe on top?
So everyone that lives in Surrey is posh?
Most of you.
You're a fucking cunt.
I
was born in Stockport.
Born in Stockport? That's posh part of Manchester.
Posh part of Greater Manchester, yeah.
Yeah, that's where the Beatles went.
Do you know how much handout I've had? Nout.
Any what?
Absolutely handouts, nout.
It doesn't mean you didn't have handouts. It means I have no handouts, Chris. That's exactly what handouts. I think you've taken the word posh out of context. I think what I mean posh. I mean.
So to your idea, posh means you speak with a Surrey accent, does it?
No. It means that when you go out, you don't have to look at the menu prices. So.
No, that's not posh. That's rich.
It's posh in my eyes. Just shows we don't know what the difference is, then, do we? Yeah, but you're rich and posh, then.
No, I'm not rich and posh. I have less money than you, Chris, at the moment.
Get out of it, honestly.
I guarantee I do, but we won't go there. But you're wrong. Just because people speak with a Southern England accent, and you know what? 15, 20 years ago, I'd have spoke with a North of England accent, and you wouldn't have thought I was posh.
Michael McLaughlin.
You're assuming I'm posh because of my previous job.
No. We've not talked about that.
No, but you're assuming I am because of that.
Okay, then. So let's ask you a simple question then.
Yeah.
Do you get out of the bath to have a piss?
I don't do baths.
See, he doesn't do baths. Because someone said here, they get out of the bath to have a piss in Stockport, rumours has it. In Manchester, Liverpool, they don't get out of the bath.
They stay in the bath to have a piss.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
I don't do baths. I wouldn't get out of the bath. I wouldn't get out of the shower to have a piss. No, that's true.
He's not that posh then. I take it all back. You're not that posh. You're like one of us. You're like one of us roughheads.
I give a shit, but I suppose it does. Yeah, all right. You slightly got me there with people assume, don't they? People assume because of an accent or where you live, how you got there, and it ain't always right.
Yeah, but you're confusing people at the moment because, like Steve says, you're picking up the Pompeii accent hanging around with him.
I could go full estuary if you like. Then I wouldn't be posh. Then I wouldn't be posh at all. But I might have more money than everyone else. So it's there's a little bit about it's bollocks. I would say, yeah, the bit I would want to, the only bit I'm interested in competing on and working on in this context is the dogs. And I would I be competitive with my dogs? I would like to be.
So let's ask the question.
I'm not saying I am competitive with my dogs always.
So let's ask the question then. Let's ask the question.
What would I be prouder about amongst anything else?
Yeah.
Is people who know dogs and people who know shooting and people who know the sport looking at me and my dogs and saying, pretty good actually.
Yeah, that's nice. That's what.
That would be the sort of thing. That'd be what I would want to compete for. Not for a cup or an accolade or a trophy or a fucking rosette. People who know what they're looking at look at my dogs and go, actually, he's all right. These dogs are pretty tidy. That would absolutely do me. That would do me.
So let me ask you this question then. You've hung around with the pointer people a little bit, haven't you? Not a massive amount, but
I did back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day. Do you think they were a bunch of posh people? Not in a nasty way, but posh as in more well-to-do rather than and had that sort of attitude compared to, they say a spaniel man likes a bit of rough.
I don't think it was poshness or
Oh, you don't? Because they come across a little bit snobby to me. Snobby.
But I think a lot of those sort of test and competition people are a bit into the dressing up and pretending.
Yeah, so yeah.
Rather than the actual results, I think. I think a lot of those.
I've got to be careful the words I use. Hoity-toity, is that the word you would say? They may be a little bit hoity-toity.
No, I just think they're desperate wannabes, really.
Desperate wannabes.
They've not got the money.
Oh, right.
So none of them have got the money. Otherwise, they wouldn't care. If you got old money, you don't care, do you?
No.
You dress scruffy. You don't put the best hard killer kit on.
If you've got no money, you do that as well. If you've got no money, you do that.
If you've got no money, you don't care either. You come with
well, you do. You do care if you've got no money, but you don't come with the best boots.
The baling twine and the shabbiest footwear you can imagine.
Yeah.
You can still do the business, and that's your game. Putting one over on the over kitted out people. I think there's an awful lot in. I think there's an awful lot in the shooting. As much of the shooting scene I've seen, which isn't very much, where people are dressing up posh and desperate to be wannabes and desperate to be the real thing, but it don't mean a shit if you haven't got the dog.
Do you remember that? Do you remember that series with Compo in it? And he used to keep his something in his matchbox.
Yeah, it lasts the summer.
Yeah, you know how he used to dress.
Yeah,
like a piece of string and an old Mac, and everyone else would be posh next to him, that big tall one and all that, right?
Yeah.
Keith Erlinson used to be just like Compo, and he used to turn up with a ball of twine wrapped around and a plastic bag around his boots, and because one of his boots was split. And you wouldn't believe such a bloke who'd achieved so much and written and been such an influence on Spaniels, and yet people used to take the piss out of him. Like, look, he looked like a tramp. And I generally heard people saying that, and I thought, if you only add 1/10 of his skill set, what he's achieved.
So there's people at the old squash club.
Yeah.
They used to turn up.
Hang on. He's not posh, but he's at the squash club.
No.
Anybody who's not posh plays badminton. Plays badminton.
I was a public servant.
He's a public schoolboy, I think. No, he wasn't.
For going with serving your country, all right, you cunt. So, right. In a free squash club, are happy to be in the line of fire. Whack your neck in. Right? And there were people who turned up, more to the point.
Yeah.
With a pair of grey old shorts that were white.
Yeah.
They were old rugby shorts, but they were grey by now.
And they could play.
And a pair of green flash.
Yeah.
Like plimmies. And they could wipe the fucking floor with you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Cool as fuck in my head.
Yeah. And there's that old saying, isn't there?
None of the kit, all the idea.
Yeah, there's that old saying, isn't there? All the gear, no idea.
I'm going to let this dog out because he actually wants a piss rather than just.
Anyway, so I think it was absolutely wonderful you coming in tonight. Really enjoyed it. Thanks very much indeed. And let's just hear what everyone else says. Did you enjoy Sol's banter? He is such a character, really. I just absolutely love him. He's a one-off, I think. I think he's a one-off. Anyway, I can say that I'm friends with somebody who was in the RAF, and that's posh. That's posh for me.
It's the safe end of the military, anyway. Because if they get through to the air bases, it's all gone horribly tits up.
At that point, yeah. I was watching. Yeah. Have you been watching that RAF program before you take the dog out? Have you been watching it about the RAF pilots that's on it? It's Top Gun is called. They've only got 2 freaking planes. They've told the Russians, and one went tits up because it was so complicated, and they only had 1 plane covering England. Don't you think that's giving away too much information to Russia? I think if we had a war, we're in shit street. We got 2 planes and one's not working. We got 10 pilots and 2 planes.
Yeah. Well, there's always the what's it called? The home guard, isn't there?
Yeah, that's what we'll have to rely on, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, so I really enjoyed that. Get that dog out. That was brilliant. Well done, mate. Thanks for joining us. Enjoyed the chat.
Next time you invite me onto the public, let me know what you're doing.
I did. I told you. Don't swear. You're live. You missed that bit. Good night, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks, Sol. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Hope you enjoyed that. We went extra tonight. We had extra 10 minutes. Hey, that was a good bit of banter, wasn't it? It's nice to have banter with people, and that's the important thing in it. None of it is done with malice. You know, we have a bit of banter. Like we say, never mind the bollocks, shush your dog. And that's what it's about. It's about entertaining people. It's about having fun. It's about helping each other with your dogs and discussing dog training. I mean, Sol actually talked about discipline on here tonight. And if he was talking about that in private, not that we don't use discipline, we use discipline, but it's learning how to use discipline, when to use discipline. And that's the important thing. But at the end of the day, I was listening to Sol earlier, and when Sol said that the dog doesn't lose drive and desire when he uses discipline, and we get told by so many people, if you use discipline, you destroy the drive, the trust in the dog with you. It's knowing how to use the discipline and when to use the discipline. And if we don't be honest and talk about it, because if you allow those dogs to get that drive and desire, you're going to have to use some form of discipline, because there's no way you're going to stop that pointer if you've allowed it to have a bit of fun and enjoy it with cheese, with food, with love and affection. You're going to have to use gameplay, but you're also going to have to use discipline. If anybody was offended by the language tonight, bollocks, I don't care. It's adults only. And thanks for joining in and tuning in. So that's Chris Upton signing off from Corleone Gundogs. I need a dark room now to lie down. Sol has this effect on me on a regular basis, normally after we've been drinking. Good night all. Chris Upton and Sue signing off.